Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of On Tap. My name is Ben. I'm here with Cody, and today we're going to be telling you a little bit about why winter is going to suck, but it doesn't necessarily have to. Today, we have both gone through and curated a list about how to not make it completely suck. We each got our 10 ideas, potentially the dumbest ways to do this. I'm going to roll right into my number one, Cody. And my
Go for
first
it.
one that makes zero sense to me is daylight savings. Okay. Daylight savings sucks. Everyone that I know and everyone I've ever talked to, no matter how old, how young, everyone says, why do we do this? This doesn't make any sense. And I think it sucks. And the interesting thing about daylight savings is it was actually invented by the Germans in 1916, believe it or
Really?
not. Yeah, so they did that as a war effort to try to save fuel, ammunition, just general costs of everything. And in 1918, the United States said, huh, that sounds like a pretty good idea. I think we could do that as well. And they did it for 1 year. One singular year is a wartime effort. Cody, I want you to take a guess. When do you think daylight
Interesting.
saving, when do you think it came back? When do you think it came back?
Ooh, I would have no idea, I mean, it's been around my whole life, so I don't even know. Tell me when.
So, as a lot of car people will know, there was a huge fuel crisis in 1970s. So, in 1973, they implemented the law that would bring back in daylight savings. So, from 1973 to now, not a mathematician, it's been forever, it's been as long as I've been alive. We've had daylight savings, and it messes up with my clocks, it messes with my mind, and I think it really sucks. So, I think the
Damn.
best way that we could I think we just got to do what Arizona does and not necessarily, fall backwards and spring forward. I really truly think we just need to pick one and just leave it at that. I don't think
Yeah,
there's
I
any
completely
other.
agree. I've always been told that it's for the farmers for some reason. That as a kid, I got it in my head that this was created by the farmers for an extra daylight for these guys, and I'm thinking in my head like, well, why couldn't they just work around the daylight itself instead of changing everyone else's shit? So
Yeah.
I'm on board. Let's get rid of this thing. And honestly, I thought it had already passed. Turns out it hasn't yet, but there is legislation in place to get rid of it altogether already right now.
Yeah, and that's been an ongoing thing. Doing a little research for the show, there was like 14 petitions they were trying to get me to sign to eradicate it. And I'm not putting my name on anything that's going to the government like that. So I'm all right.
You think that they're
Yeah.
going to try to crack down on all these conspirators against daylight savings, that they might swat your house or something?
Yeah, either that or they're just gonna make the light on my stove where it flashes the time. I think they'll just make it permanently an hour off on me. Then like in my car, I do this thing where in my car I go, okay, well we lost an hour. Well, my clocks are off for 6 months or however long daylight savings is, and then eventually, they are the correct time. It works out fantastic.
Yeah, what's actually funny about that? We had daylight savings, what, like a month ago, a month and a half ago? I still have multiple clocks in my house that have not changed. So I just, in my head, subtract an hour every time that I'm looking at the time and just accept the fact that they're wrong, which is weird. I should just change it. It takes 10 seconds, but it's so annoying. I'm just doing it in spite of, uh, I guess, the government. I don't, I don't really
Yeah,
know who I'm sticking it to by doing that.
I think you're sticking it to them. I think you're sticking it to all the manufacturers that have known since 1973 that this is an issue, and they have done nothing to combat the issue of updating our clocks
Bastards.
automatically. I They got me there. They absolutely got me there. And anyway,
Serves them
what do you
right.
got? What do you got for your number one, Cody?
Yeah, okay. My number one pick was drinks freezing when you're drinking outside, right? So, specifically beers. Have you ever been, let's say, a winter bonfire, a good winter bonfire hangout?
Mm-hmm.
I've had it where I'm holding onto a beer and it turns into like a beer slushy in your hand. Okay.
Yep.
My it's more of a life hack in a way, but just drink out of tumbler mugs. It doesn't matter the brand. I'm not a huge fan of buying these expensive mugs. You can get them cheap, but if you just get a tumbler mug, it's designed to not only keep the things cold, but also keep things warm. So think about that. Because when you put your coffee in these things, they stay hot. So pour your beer or mixed drink in a tumbler. It doesn't matter with or without ice. It'll keep it at that temperature and not let the outside temperature affect it. So when you're drinking outdoors, it keeps it from turning into a slushy. I rest my case, Your
Oh,
Honor.
that's so solid. And it's weird because they have all the ads about how they keep everything cold, but I never really thought about, like a middle temperature. Not getting any colder, not getting any warmer. That actually works out pretty well. I
Yep.
knew a guy. I used to work with a guy that he used to drink. He used to drink like a Crown and Coke at the lake, right? And he'd have like 6 or 7 of them throughout the day. Well, anyways, his daughter bought him one of those tumblers, and he went out there the first weekend with this tumbler loaded up with ice. He's drinking and drinking, and he's having 6 or 7. He's having a good old time, and he about died the next day from the hangover from this. And then he did it again the next weekend. And he did it again the next weekend. He got to the point where he ended up writing a letter to Crown Royal saying there must be something wrong, or you must have a new formula, or something is going bad with it. And finally his cousin pointed out and he goes, the reason you're getting so hungover, none of the ice is melting in your drink. You're not getting any of the water. You've had the same ice cubes in there all day with your drink.
Oh,
Yeah. So they
dang.
can
So
they can
maybe
go
that's a
against you.
downside. You're right. Oh my God. I didn't even think of that. Do you think that
I
that's real? Are you on board with this too? Like, do you think you
I
get that much water?
I think you do. I think it has to fall into there. I mean, you think about it. If you're filling up a glass, about 3/4 full or half full of ice, every time you get done drinking it, you have just a little bit left to chew on.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be. It has to be something
Damn.
like that.
Okay. Now, I mean, Ben, now I understand why you don't want to put your name on government material because, dude, this is a conspiracy against big ice. Do you know what this could do to us?
Against big ice. Man, I've heard a lot of conspiracies, like big pharma, big chicken, but yeah, definitely big ice. They're they're gonna be coming for us now. I mean, we'll just have to have like I'll have to get my mom's blow dryer or something to keep them away or something. I don't close a screen door at home. I don't know.
You never know. You never know. What do you have for your number two?
So my number two, and it's kind of a double-edged sword of why it sucks. And moving snow sucks. Now I do it as a job occasionally here and there, driving plow, and I also have a driveway, so I got to move the snow. It's cold, it's blowing out. It's not great. It's not ideal compared to summertime and just how easygoing it is in the summertime. You don't have to physically move anything to leave. You just leave your house. You hop in your car, you just leave. You don't have to move a mountain, right? Now, the reasons I think that moving snow cannot suck, or, to change it differently, is, man, do they make some cool toys to move snow with. I bought a brand new
Oh,
snowblower
yeah.
last year and I was pumped about it. And this year I got a four-wheeler and I put a plow on it. And I have been just like, oh, my wife will kill me because I'm always just chomping at the bit to just take this thing out. I ended up pushing some gravel with this thing just to make sure it worked. And there's so many cool toys that you can use.
Yep.
But I mean, I think snow comes with the pros and cons of. I think moving snow sucks. I think snow sucks. But I also know how bad it's like how much I hate mowing. When it comes to mowing, I'm worried about how, what I cut it at. On top of that, my eyes get red. I get itchy. I get sweaty. I get gross. I get mud ass. It is a whole thing to mow the yard. Like, yeah, am I going to be cold moving snow? Yeah, but I ain't gonna feel like I have to go shower instantly after it because I could wipe the grass off my face.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It is at the end of the whole ordeal. Yeah, I also feel the same way. Like I feel dirty. There's dust in the air. I'm covered in dirt, grass, whatever. But there's just something about being on that mower with a cold beer and smelling that grass that is irreplaceable. However, I'm fully on board with this whole idea of having toys to clean up the snow for you. I actually just saw an RC plow rig for your driveway. Have you seen these things?
Yeah.
So you can literally drive this thing around your yard. I mean, what would make this even more fun? You know, I mean, you can just sit inside, even probably looking out a window and looking at this thing as you're controlling it and plow your driveway. I mean, that would be so fun. That's just, I mean, you're playing a video game at that point.
Yeah, I did have one note on here I want to expand on. And the nice thing about snow in this whole cleaning up the yard and mowing and everything like that is you got dogs, you know. And what do dogs do outside?
Poop.
E- Exactly. And guess what? That snow covers it up. And for like 6 months, maybe you're a better dog owner than me. In my own backyard, I don't let my dogs poop in public. But however, in the backyard, I just go, oh, yeah, the snow covered it up. I don't have to pick up dog shit for like 6 months.
You
It's
make them
heavy,
hold it
but
when they're in public or what?
yeah, tuck it in my sock a little bit, keep that thing on me.
So I have the benefit where we live at, we live pretty remote, but we're on like 3 acres and we're surrounded by woods. So I mean, there's something weird about my dogs, and I love it, but they will only poop in the woods or in bushes. So I never have to clean it up. I mean, I wouldn't clean it up anyways. Like we got a big enough yard. I don't care. But they just they only exclusively shit in the bushes or in the woods. It's amazing. I love it. So I don't have to worry about it.
Just nature's camouflage. They're worried about someone else finding it too, apparently. So that's hell of a dog. Keep him around.
Okay, mine. Are we on number 2? Is this number 2 for me?
We're on
Yeah.
number two.
Okay. Getting into a cold car. This
Uh,
is a problem that I really struggle with and I really hate. I hate having to let my car warm up. I always will go out in the morning like a half hour before I'm going to leave. It's different now that I have the kid. I drive the kid to daycare in the morning, so I have to have it warm now, and that's my excuse. So I'll go and start it like a half hour before. However, I just made one of the biggest purchases of my life, and I bought a heated jacket off of Temu. Are you familiar with Temu? It's like
uh,
wish.com.
I've heard about it. I always like get the ads on TikTok, and it's like, you want to see this
Yeah.
naked girl? Click this code. Maybe you don't get
Someone
those
else
ones,
told me that
but
too. I don't get those ones. So,
maybe you don't get them.
our algorithms are a little bit different, Ben. I bought
Allegedly.
this jacket. I bought this jacket off of there for $15. It's a heated jacket. I just got one off of Temu, and that bad boy has changed my life. It was $15, and I already had a power bank that plugged right into the thing, and I'm living La Vida Loca right now, buddy. I turned that thing on. It's just like any of these expensive ones. These I see Milwaukee makes one. It's like $200. You know, this thing $15 and I just use a power bank that charges my phone and it's good to go. Granted, it doesn't last a super long time. If I got a better power bank, it'd probably work better. But with this little power bank that I have, it lasts like 3 hours of this thing running on full bore, and it's amazing. It's got heated inserts where the pockets are at in the front. So you have heated, essentially hand warmers, and then one huge strip from the back all the way up to the neck. Nothing in the front, which I don't really agree with, but hey, $15. And this thing has changed my life. I turn this thing on before I go outside and I'm already warm. It's as if I had my heated seat already blaring before I get in there. So that's my solution to the cold car bit. It still sucks. The car is probably still cold, but I'm at least warm.
I feel that. I've been a big auto start fan. So currently, right now, we don't
Yeah.
have any snow. Um, I should be driving my Honda Fit. I have a nice little Honda Fit, gets like 40 miles to the gallon. Big fan of the car. And I should be realistically still driving that because there's no snow on the ground. I started driving my pickup just for the sole purpose that I can hit the auto start when I get out of bed and it'll be piping warm when I get out to it after I take a shower. So I hate getting in a cold car. I used to have a roommate, my buddy Hunter. He would never warm up his car. He would never do anything like that. Like we'd literally be I mean, we'd be pre-gaming, we'd already be drunk, and we'd be like, "Man, we gotta go drive to the bars," and we get in this icicle of a Highlander, and you just scream the whole time, and the car was screaming too, it was cold, it wanted to tap out. But I mean,
Yeah.
man, it got us to the bar, and it got us home too. You'd leave the bar, you don't wear jackets. That's not cool. No one wears warm clothes. That starts at about about third grade. That kids don't want to wear coats. It's not cool, and it's not cool when you're 21 going to the bar either.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, we get in the car and we're just sitting there, just oh, oh, like just dying. And but it was
Yeah.
just like he didn't have auto start, and I'm not walking 3 blocks to go start it, and then walking 3 blocks back to go hang out in the bar for 8 minutes.
Yeah, you know what's actually funny is I don't have auto start in my vehicle right now, which does suck because I've had it in every other vehicle I've ever owned. But what I do is sort of like the poor man's auto start, and I'm sure it's going to bite me in the ass one day. Maybe someone's probably going to steal my car now. But I have two keys for this thing, right? I have two keys. I go and start it with one, and then I'll lock it, and then I'll have the spare in my pocket. So if someone were to just break the window, I guess they could just take it. But, hey, it's good to go. Is if I'm at my house, it doesn't matter if it's unlocked. But if I'm out in public, I'll go walk my ass out there, start it up, lock it, keep the spare in my $15 heated jacket, and then call it a day.
Oh, see, I don't even lock it. I'll roll up to the gas station, go get a coffee every morning, and what I do is I'll crack the window a little bit in case like
Mm.
something happened. I could just walk back in the gas station, just be like, "Yo, you guys got like a coat hanger or a hockey stick or something I can bend in here real quick?"
Yeah,
And
what if
say,
the cashier pulls out like, yeah, here's a hockey stick? Like what the
we're gonna use it. It could work. I mean, I don't know. I've done it all the time. I always roll down the window a little bit. My again, God, why has Hunter got so many of these winter stories? So Hunter used to do this thing where he didn't have auto start. He would run out in his towel in the driveway, run out, start his car, and the only key he had to get back in the house was on that keychain.
Oh my
And he ran
god.
out, started his car, ran out, started his car, locked himself out of the house. He flicked the lock just instinctively on the door, locked himself out, and I get a call from the neighbor, my neighbor Nacho, and he goes, "Hey, Cowboy's over at my house right now, and he ain't wearing no clothes." And I go, why is that my problem? I don't know what he's doing. He goes, "Well, he locked himself out of the house. Can you come let him out?" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" So I had to drive all the way back across town and let him back into the house, and he was late for
Damn.
work, and I had to leave work. Yeah, it was a whole thing, man. Just auto
That
start all
sucks.
day.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think that after going through 2 winters with this vehicle without auto start, I don't think I'll ever not have one again. I might even just install one in it for this winter, honestly. It's worth having for sure. It's the best, even a cheap one way, it's the best $200 to $700 that you'll ever spend.
I only use one ways because I either it starts or it don't start. I don't, and if it tells me it don't start, that's really gonna wreck my day versus getting all the way out there and being like, "Fuck, this thing didn't even start." I'd hate to know before I get out there that it didn't start. I'd like to, at least have a little bit of hope, like, "Oh, I hope it's fired up." And then, hell
Yeah,
no,
that's
there's
fair.
there's snow coming out of the vents at me. That's probably big ice
Yeah,
coming after me. Honestly,
heard
that's
that.
how
Are
the
you up or
that's
am
how,
I up?
I'm up
Is
on
this
this
number
one.
3?
Yeah, we're looking at number three. So I have, and everyone's seen T-shirts. Everyone's seen the Facebook posts about it. The air hurts your face, and it sucks. And sure, it'd be nice if it weren't for the wind. Yeah, I get that. But I do. I really think it sucks. Like you walk outside, and I'm not a warm person by any means, but it does suck to walk outside and you're just instantly cold. I don't get it. But there are some pros to it. And as we touched on with Mitch the other day, there's no bugs. There ain't no bugs out there. You don't see them. They don't talk about West
True.
Nile in December. You don't see
True.
people worried about, exterminators must hate winter. They must have time off. Um, the other thing is, I think there's less crime just because I think unless you're stealing Cody's car, there's no one's out and about. It's too cold to be out stealing anything or doing anything. If anything, you're breaking into a place so you got somewhere warm to hide. But I think it kind of comes back to the people because I think the cold makes people a little bit warmer, as cliche
Oh,
as that
like in their
sounds.
hearts, you're saying.
Yeah, I think people are a little
Okay.
nicer when it's cold out because I think they go, you know what, we're all in this together. This all sucks. No one can do anything about it. And I think people are a little bit nicer. Whereas if you, and I'm
Yeah.
just totally speculating here, now look at places that are hot. Look at Florida.
Yeah.
You know how much road rage there is in Florida because someone cut you off pulling into the Dairy Queen down there?
Road rage
It,
is the least of Florida's concerns at this point.
it's pretty. You wait till they give them
There's a lot of
gators a
shit going
license,
on.
dude.
You're right. And I think it correlates with them being hot year round. Honestly, it's funny that you bring this up because I was just talking about this with someone the other day, actually, where like good memories are a lot of times made through like a shared misery with someone else. So looking back at all of like the shenanigans, the nostalgia, being in a car with someone and they locked the keys in it and it's super cold and everywhere's closed. Some of those are some of the funnest memories because you can just sit back and be like, this really sucks. But like the fact that I don't have to do this by myself makes it 10 times better. So I'm with you. I think you're right. There's something about the cold making the heart warm. And I agree. And that actually ties in with my number 3
Let's
is
roll it.
okay. Full disclaimer, I don't want to condone any bad actions. I'm just going to put this out for the sake of entertainment. Driving in a blizzard, right? A lot of people don't like it and it is difficult. And some people are just scared to do it. But again, I'm not condoning driving under the influence. But if you're in a pinch and there's an emergency, this is the only time that you can get away with it is driving in a blizzard. Unless you go in the ditch or get into an accident, you're screwed. But if you're doing a little bit of swerving, if you're driving a little too slow, no one's going to pull you over in a blizzard.
I agree with that. I mean, yes and no. I mean, I've always thought about I mean, snow's kind of cool like that. You know, you're blizzarding, your car's all covered up, right? You know, back to the government thing. I mean, how are they going to know if I got good tabs on that thing or not? They can't even see the license
It's
plate.
true.
You know, I'll go
That is
steal a
the beauty of
gallon.
also driving in a blizzard is like if the snow is caked on your license plate, you got, essentially unlimited months until it melts before you have to buy new tabs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you got that, and then you could. Well, then maybe the crime would probably go back up because I mean, think you might get a guy that's just really on one, can't see his license plates, goes to the gas station, steals a couple nerds rope or something, just
Yeah.
going for it. But I
Yeah.
do get I do get the point. The blizzard is kind of like camouflage because you would think that the cops would be like, okay, if you're out right now, you either A know what you're doing or B there's an emergency. It's not that, I used to plow snow for a guy privately, and I never did this, but the guys that I worked with, they had a pool league before it. And there was one time we got called in to move snow about 1 in the morning. And these guys left pool league and they were so worried because they were like, man, we just had to get to the shop. And I was like, why is that? And they're like, oh man, the second we're in one of these pickups with a plow on it with flashing lights, no cop
Yeah.
is going to bother us. And I was like, really? And then about 20 minutes later, that same cat was puking out in a parking lot from it. So I was like, holy shit, what kind of operation do we got going on here?
We got some guys on the job.
Yeah, yeah, it's like hide in plain sight. I'll sidebar for a second about the whole getting away with it. What do you think the odds are if you just got one of those fucking little Uber lights and you put it in your windshield? You could just drive home drunk every time. What do you think the
Well,
odds
not where
are?
I'm at. There's no Uber where I'm at, so I for sure would
Oh,
still get pulled over. They'd be like, that's even more suspect. I thought about maybe doing a pizza delivery topper is also a good one that I've thought of before, like that. Or maybe you just get one of these ambulance at auction that still have the sirens and lights hooked up. And then you just flip them on and haul ass home.
Oh man, I think the pizza one would work because I mean people are always doing that, being like, "Well, it's a blizzard. I can't get out to Domino's, but I'm sure that 16-year-old kid working at Domino's driving a a Saturn SL2 is gonna make it. Like I'm sure that's a big deal.
Yeah, with they were all season tires at one point, but now they look like drag slicks because they're completely bald.
Yeah, boy's got that Uniroyal tiger paws on it with one donut, He's just trying to make it to Kelk after this. Like
Yeah. Yeah, 1,000%.
well, mine kind of goes with yours here, and it's kind of about cars. And I think why winter sucks is when you have to go get gas. And I think it really
Mm.
sucks because you're standing out there. And if you're like me, I own a Chevrolet pickup and I have to replace the evap canister. And if you're like me, you have to sit there and nurse the fuel into it.
Yeah.
You'll just be like a quarter gallon, clunk, quarter gallon, clunk, quarter gallon, clunk. I have learned a hack that if you just take your gas cap and you wedge it into the actual trigger pull, it's not enough to trick it. So try that if you own a Chevrolet Silverado.
Mhm.
Um, I think how we could really get away from the wind and the cold and everything like that at the gas station. We already have the canopy, we already have the topper on this. Why can't we put some walls on it? You know, put a couple walls on the end of it, make it kind of like a service bay, almost like a car wash. Make it a whole little place I can
Yeah.
pull into, get gas, maybe, have the little thing to put some air in the tire right there because the tires always be
Oh,
dropping
yeah.
in winter.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I like that. Like, I think we bring the idea of like a full service gas station to Minnesota because you see them in like Oregon, New Jersey, super popular. If we could just do that in the Midwest, I think that would be a hell of a business model. And I think you would persuade a lot of people to go there. Or picture this, you could still technically do it outside. You just have a little booth, little warming hut for someone. They come out, they pump your gas. There's another guy NASCAR style running around checking and filling the air on your tires. And then also there's another guy that's checking and changing your fluids, windshield wiper fluid, oil, you name it. I leak oil in mine all the time. So if I had someone else there that was able to pour that, pump my gas, and fill up the air in my tires while I'm doing it, I'd pay I'd pay more to do that for sure.
Yeah,
I don't
I
care
would
how much the
not.
gas would be.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel bad one bit when they spin that iPad around on me and say, "It's going to ask you a couple questions on here." Yeah, I'm all in. Let's do it. Like, dumb not to.
Yeah, you know what's funny? The older that I've got, like you said, when you figure out that it becomes not about a cool factor that you just want to be warm. In my older age, I've decided that I'm a glove guy now. That everywhere I go, I'm bringing like some leather gloves that have this nice warm wool material on the inside, and I love those things. Is here's the trick: if you keep your hands and feet warm, you're going to be way warmer for way longer. And so I'm a
Hmm.
glove guy now. So pumping gas is not near as bad if you just accept the fact that you can be a glove guy.
I wonder where everything falls off because I feel like you're a kid and you're always losing your gloves. You're all about gloves. When I was a kid, I had a pair of little deerskin choppers, right? I think every kid
Hmm.
in Minnesota has had a pair of these things at one point or another. And I loved my choppers. And then I think from about the age 12 to about 24, I was like, I don't need gloves. I'm good, you know. I can do whatever with my bare hands for all of 8 seconds in the cold. And now I am also a big fan of gloves. I have a set that stays just in my pickup cab of some Kinkos, I think they are, or Kenkos, or whatever
Yeah,
they are. I got some
that's
nice,
exactly what I have.
yeah, yeah, brother. Yeah, love them. They're perfect for anything. Yeah, you got to have a good pair of gloves in your truck or something like that. Even if you went and you bought some of those little dollar store little Finglet ones,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. My number 4 also actually goes along very nicely with that because you need gloves for doing this as well. I'm gonna say shoveling. You know, you can where I'm at here, we don't get a lot of people with like long sidewalks, but there is a little bit of shoveling when it comes to, your back deck or your front porch or a little sidewalk that goes from your driveway to your door. You know, instead of busting your ass out shoveling before it snows, go place a full case of beers around your sidewalk for an ice cold treat every few feet. Okay. So the kicker of this is there is some caveats. It can't be below freezing and it has to be cold when you first put the beers out. So it is a little bit limited. But on like the first couple snowfalls of the year, this is perfect because these things aren't freezing fully. Some of them might be slushy, but who cares when you're out there sweating and you hit into one of these bad boys? Forget about it, and then you open it up and you're like, oh my god, I completely forgot I put this thing here. Slam
Uh,
it.
See, I'm gonna go a little bit against that. So my dumbass would put them next to the sidewalk, right? And I'd plant them thinking I'm being so sly. And the next thing you know, I'm going to be out there with the snowblower, forget about them.
Mm.
And that thing's going to be just launching those things out. It's going to sound like a machine gun, just like, do, 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 do. And I'm going to just be banging bush lights out into the road. I think with
Okay.
the tumbler technology we have, I don't think it would be such a bad idea to take a tumbler, maybe get a blaze orange one so you could see it. Make sure you got that cap on tight, and maybe just say, okay, you know what, my sidewalk goes about 40 feet that way, and just take it and just give it a little toss. Well, now A, you have to go get it. B, you're going to shovel your way there because you're not going to trudge through the snow. That might be the way to do it.
Okay. So it's like a dangle the carrot for yourself kind of scenario.
I think so. I think you have to do it that way because yeah, if I leave them in the snow, man, I'm either gonna find them in the spring and I'm gonna be like, why the fuck is there a beer can out here? Or I'm just gonna
I
blast them
like
with the
that.
snowblower into the street and start hitting my truck and stuff and be like, oh, should have done that.
In your neighbor's window. You're replacing windows now after this whole ordeal.
Yeah. Have you ever cracked a beer open and set it down outside and you're like, okay, I'm gonna fire up I've done this. I've fired up the snowblower and I'm like, cracked a beer and I set it off to the side. I'm like, okay, if I get about halfway done with the driveway, I'll be back to about this point right here. I can drink the beer. And I've tried to race myself to get back before it starts foaming and all the ice is growing straight up out of a beer can. Have you
No,
ever
I've
done
never
that?
done that because I've never done in the wintertime only because I don't have a snowblower, so I just plow my driveway like with a regular blade plow, you know. If I
Okay.
had a snowblower, I definitely would do that. But, again, we kind of live in the middle of nowhere, so if I just push this shit all over the place, no one's going to say anything. So I just push that stuff right into my yard. I don't even care. But I would do that mowing. I would do that in the summertime, but then it wouldn't be the same thing because then you couldn't really race it. Maybe you race it to before it gets warm, I guess. But I
Mm-hmm.
can't relate. Can't relate.
Damn, dude, why you gotta flex all this
I should do it
property on me?
shoveling. I should. Yeah, on my ranch. On my
Yeah.
ranch, we don't have to snow blow. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna do it with shoveling. I'm gonna put it on my deck. I'm gonna walk through the snow, put it by the stairs because that's on the other side of the deck. And then by the time I get to that, when I'm shoveling, that's when I'm gonna do it. I will try that.
All right, it's rolling into my number 5 here, my last one. And I think winter ruins ice cream for me. And there's some people in Minnesota and the Midwest here that will still go out when it's, well, literally a blizzard to go to Dairy Queen to get a blizzard. And I just can't do it. I'm already cold. I don't want a cold treat. And that even goes to things like a slushy. Never going to catch me with a slushy in the wintertime. Even my coffee will change. I'll go from a nice, fun little iced coffee to I gotta get a warm coffee. It changes real quick from being Red Bull season to being a coffee season kind of thing. Um,
Mhm.
and I think the only way you can really make it better is you just got to find other fun treats that are warm, like maybe some pie, maybe maybe just a
A nice warm pie in the morning to get you going.
yeah, maybe if you're still on a fruit kick from the pie, maybe get like that 16th of an inch of fruit inside of a Pop Tart piping hot. Get that going. Maybe a toaster strudel,
Yeah.
and hope that it's
I'm
cooked all the
fully
way
on board with
through.
this.
I think
Yeah, I
there's
would agree.
yeah, I think there's ways that it can be worked around. I don't know. You eat ice cream in the winter?
No, I definitely don't. And the funny thing is, we have one of those like part-time Dairy Queens that actually shut down in the wintertime here. So it's not a brazier as they call it. Like they don't have food year round.
A brazier?
Yeah, that's like the name for those Dairy Queens that are like the grill and chills. It's called a
Oh,
brazier.
wow. You know what? For the place with the ice cream technology to flip it upside down, I actually don't doubt they have a terminology like that. That has to be a fully standalone thing. I thought they just called them an orange Julius, but a brazier sounds like something you put on when it's cold out. Like, yeah, I
I
gotta go put
I
out the
was actually
garbage cans. Put on your brazier.
I was told this and I don't know if that's actually right.
Is this another way of
Just
getting old
kidding.
things? Just taking it for
A brazier is a Dairy Queen is one that serves hot food in addition to ice cream. A brazier, by the way, is another word for a charcoal grill. So
no.
I'm not necessarily wrong. It's what I'm getting out of
Hey,
this. A
hey, I'm not
brazier
gonna let the
is the one
facts
that
get in the
sells
way of a
food.
good
And we,
story.
granted, the one here in my town does sell food, but like I said, they close in the wintertime.
Okay, we have one of those in Grand Forks that's like that. Used to be down the street from your old
Yeah,
place.
dude, I'm on the same page. I'm on the same page. My number five actually goes exactly with that. And one of
Ooh,
my biggest pet peeves of yes, yep. You're right. My number five also goes along with your number five in that one of my biggest pet peeves of the wintertime is that the drinks just get too cold. Like the
mm-hmm.
biggest solution, warm drinks. And this goes pretty much exactly with yours, but hot cocoa and Bailey's, classic to go to. Coffee and Bailey's, another good classic. Irish coffee, it's, coffee with Jameson, all great picks. But again, it's a seasonal thing. You're 100% right when it comes to the selection of drinks and food in the wintertime. Nothing to like pisses me off more than thinking of eating a ice cream or a milkshake or something when it's cold out. I'm kind of fired up about it right now.
I I will actually kind of backpedal just slightly because my birthday is in January, and I'll be damned if I'm not gonna have an ice cream cake. So I gotta just go against that a little bit.
Okay, so maybe we switch it to just saying because I don't disagree with that. I would go for a good ice cream cake as long as it's in a warm house. So maybe we switch that to just saying mobile cold products.
Yeah, I agree with that. But also, you got to think back to a hockey arena. There's nothing that goes better with hockey than an ice cold beer.
Very true. Very true. Damn it. Okay, we'll scrap half of the idea. I think you guys understand where we're coming from. Winter is going to suck, but it doesn't have to. That was 10 of the dumbest ways that you can make this winter a little bit more bearable. Ben, do you have anything to say to these guys before we head out of here?
uh, you're probably gonna get some socks for Christmas, and that's probably not the worst thing ever. They're they're worth their weight in gold. Stay warm, my friends.